Good morning. Welcome to my channel. My name is Charlotte. I am stitching my way to Sanity in the center of Canada, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day out here today. And so I am a knitter wearing my bling. I'm obviously excited about it. Anyways, I am a knitter from central Canada, and I have a channel here that I decided to start not that long ago because I wanted to share my knitting projects and my love for sparkle. Yeah, so I'm here today because I wanted to talk to you mostly today about some blankets. But I also have to talk to you a little bit about my bling. So I don't necessarily follow a traditional podcast always because I have a little ADHD, and so I'm a little scattered sometimes, and I get a little overexcited, and so I don't always keep things in order. But I am here to talk to you about knitting, and what I've been making and what I've been excited about, and what I still have to make. So I'm going to start by sharing what I'm wearing because, as you can see, I left the blinds open and it's sunny, and so hopefully you can catch that sparkle off my lovely tank top. This is a modified version of a Camisole #1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. The pattern, I altered it. Initially, I'd seen a sweater with a mock neck that was done in this tone of yellow, but it wasn't sparkle. I think it was like $250 or something, and it was rails. Last year, 2022, when was it? I think it was 1922. Anyways, it was a beautiful sweater. I'll put a picture of it up here. I'm not sure if they still have it in stock or are still selling it, so you'll have to settle for a picture because I did snap an original picture of it. But I wanted something similar, but I wanted it blingy. And so I took the Camisole pattern from My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is made in Knitting for Olives Pure Silk, held double, I believe. Yep, held double, with also a strand of Ella Ray Sequincity in Sandcastle, so it gives it a nice little sparkle. And I'm going to stand up and move my camera so you can see what it actually really looks like. So it is a modified version. I didn't want a mock neck because I wanted something a little less closer to the neck. It's summer. It gets incredibly hot here in Manitoba, and my plan is to wear it on vacation, so when we go somewhere warm. So I just made it sparkly. I'm not sure. I might want to, the original one has a very long fringe at the bottom. I might end up deciding to cut half of that off. I'm not sure yet. I've worn it a few times and I quite like it. Even if out for dinner with a little jean jacket on. I love this color of yellow. I love the sparkle. And I just wanted to say, don't ever worry about changing a pattern or altering it or making it work for you, because I feel like that's what knitting is all about. So this is my Camisole #1 blinged out. All my information is on my Ravelry page. Couldn't remember for a second what I was talking about. All my information is on Ravelry with this sweater, and my Ravelry contact will be down below. Let's warm up here. So that's something that I'm wearing that I made a while back. You'll notice over here, if you saw my last video 2 or 3 weeks ago, you'll know I was working on my Braidy loop sweater that I finished, that I love, love, love. But we'll save that for another time because it's warm. It is 100% wool and it is hot. So today's not the day to put it on, but today is definitely a day to admire it. So I'll have it hanging out in the background. My main focus for today was going to be blankets, baby blankets. I don't generally knit a lot of blankets. I'm not sure why. It's just never been my thing. But as I've had grandchildren and I have, younger friends who have children or sister-in-laws that have grandchildren, I'm always looking for something to knit as a present. And as much as I love the little outfits and I love knitting little outfits for my own grandkids, I sort of recognize that if I'm going to knit one thing for somebody, I'd prefer it to be something that they can have for much longer than, a few months, right? Grandkids will wear something. Little people will wear things for, if you're lucky, a year, and then they'll grow out of it. And that's to be expected. But if I'm giving a gift, I tend to like it to be something that they can have for a lot longer. So I initially found this pattern before I got into color work, and I'm not entirely into color work yet either. But I found this pattern quite a while ago. I think my first one that I knit was in 2022. And it's this one from Yarn Inspirations called the Hearty Blanket. And it's a free pattern. And it's mosaic knit. Now you'll see this one has hearts all the way through. And I knit the first one. They give you a chart. It's not nearly as bad as it looks, I promise. Again, free pattern, 3 pages. Once you kind of get the hang of this chart, it's really quite simple. Not if you're knitting the whole blanket in hearts though, and I'll show you what I mean. So I had originally gotten Miss Bab's yarn, their Big Yowza. And the first blanket I made, I followed the pattern almost to a T. There's a section in here where it tells you to cast on a certain amount, knit back and forth. And then it tells you to add a certain amount of stitches or whatever. Anyways, I found that incredibly confusing. It made no sense to me. I wasn't sure why I needed to do that, how it was messing with the stitch. Anyway, it just seemed a little nuts to me. I'm sure there's some reason for it. I didn't feel an overwhelming need for it. So anyways, I knit this blanket. Oh, God, it took me months, and you'll see why. I have to stand up because it's quite large. So I knit this blanket, and I knit it out of 3 separate balls of the contrast color. And you can see even here that the bottom section is a different color than the middle section because I'd sort of run out of yarn. I wasn't, it's huge. Like it's, almost twin bed size, right? Like it's a good blanket. So this is one ball of contrasting color. This is another 2 fingering held together of a contrasting color. And this is a third at the bottom. And I hadn't at that time really understood clearly. Well, you can see, do you see my mistake? Do you see my mistake, people? It's so obvious to me, right? Because I know where it is right here. I wasn't really getting the whole heart thing. And so I did the same row twice in a section. So that heart is a little stretched out. It's always going to bug me. But anyway, I still love this blanket. So I didn't realize at the time that because it's all hand-dyed yarn and it's really beautiful, but the tones of it can end up being quite different. So unless you're, using figuring held double and you're sort of marling them, or unless you're doing something else with them that I did not know how to do, the sections end up looking very different. And so what is expected of one was different than the other. Anyway, I ended up having to buy more yarn because I wanted the length to be longer than the width, and I really overdid the size of the width. I think I followed the pattern and it just ended up being really large. So It's not going anywhere. And it took me a long time to make. The counting of these hearts and the stitches, I think it's a 16 stitch count. Pretty sure it's a 16 stitch repeat, but every second row is different, right? I mean, I got quite comfortable with the 16 stitch. You get into a rhythm, you know, 2 3 1 2 3 1 or whatever, and it's a mirror image, right? Because you're doing the heart, so it's a stitch count one way, and then the opposite, or the mirror image, the rest of it. So 13 and 13, 16. So 8 and 8 essentially, right? Clearly I can't count. Anyway, I love this blanket so much. And so it will always be sitting on my chair on top of my Sex in the City blanket. That maybe I'll talk about another time. The only blankets I've ever really made for myself. So anyway, so this is staying here, but I fell in love with the pattern so much, and I wasn't willing to give this away. And I needed to find a way to make it a little simpler and a little bit more manageable to give to people. So what I started doing, where's the other one? What I started doing is doing one row of the 2 heart pattern and then doing the dots, because up here you'll see every second stitch is slipped. And so what it does is it creates these beautiful polka dots in this, and I love that. So whole blanket, but with polka dots. Much more manageable, because the whole center of this then ends up becoming incredibly mindless. So I knit this one. I ended up knitting, how many did I knit? Oh my gosh. I knit 2. I knit one for a friend. I knit another one for my niece, her baby. And then I just knit another one for my own granddaughter. And then my stepdaughter had gotten a blanket for her baby, for my step grandbaby, that I had made her when I first started knitting, that I wasn't so crazy about. And so I made her one. This is for her. And so it's this beautiful, again, Miss Babs yarn, primarily because to make this in a normal size, other than this craziness, which took, I can't even remember how many yards or meters of yarn. It was a fair bit, because the yarn actually comes in double skeins. Their yowza comes in a big double skein like this. And that blanket, I can't remember how many, and I don't even want to look back, because it took way too much time and it became so expensive that I just could not see my way clear to giving it to someone, even the grandkids, because then I would feel like I would have to make one for all the other grandkids, and it was just, I'm never knitting one like that again. I'll knit them like this. This is how it's easy to do. So yeah, and it's just, I personally think it's adorable. This one I made, I can't remember, I think it's made with, it's a gray, I think it's frozen. And then there was a hot pink with a stellina. So it's got a little bit of a sparkle. I'm not sure if that will come up. But anyways, perfect for a little girl. So my step granddaughter, my little grandbaby will get this. And so I wanted to do a video about blankets, because she's here from New Zealand and I will be giving that to her in the next week or so. So that's what she'll be getting. So she can have her own fabulous heart blanket. And another nephew had a baby, so I need to make another one. So I'm making, and so I have this, and then I have another. This is, so a regular size blanket will need 2 full-size yowza balls and either 3 of these single skeins or 1, essentially. This one is a fingering, so I hold it double. This is Gibson Girl, again with stellina, so it's got a little bit of a sparkle. And otherwise it would take 2 of these in your main color and 1 of these in your contrast color. But what I've also started to do is, I got started on this. what I've started to do, oh, I'm a little bit wrapped up here, um, is doing the edging. Sometimes I'll do the edging at the bottom in the contrast color. This is not showing up quite as nice as it is. It's a really pretty, almost antique-y pink. It's really quite lovely. I'd started it in a different color and my husband didn't like it. I had a yellow going and I wasn't keen on it. And so I ripped it out and started again. Anyways, I love it. The other thing I've done is that blanket, this original blanket, what I did is I did 10 repeats of the 16 stitch pattern. And then you can add on 5 or 6 or 10 of the edging stitches, right? That you got to kind of go through at the very beginning. So what I did is I just multiplied 16 by 10 and then added, I think, 5 and 5. So 160 plus 10 is 170. Put my markers in and then just go for it. And then do the exact same thing on the other hand. You know, you can do the dots, you can do the polka dots every row. You can do it every second row if you want. You don't have to do them. If you don't want to, you can do whatever you want in the middle, I guess. I quite love the polka dots. I thought that turned out really cute. It's, again, it's a fair bit of work, but not as bad as the whole hearts the whole way through. Plus, I think it looks nicer. So this is a 10 pattern repeat. But yarn is getting expensive, y'all, especially when I'm buying from Miss Babs in the US. It's starting to get a little pricey. Plus the stellina is also a little bit more expensive. So what I've done is I have ended up doing 8 repeats. So I'm not sure what this is. This is probably about 32 inches once it's going to be washed. That's the other thing that I really, really, really quite love about this yarn is that it's very washable and dryable. So there's only one, I think I've made 5 or 6 of these blankets, and there's only one that bled, and so everything became a little pink. Strangely enough, the way it bled was quite even, so it wasn't the end of the world. But generally, they don't really bleed much. The colors are quite color fast, and because it's a super wash yarn, it's super soft. The mosaic knitting is like easy, you know, easy color work for people who are terrified of color work and holding more than one color at a time. I have a sweater on deck that I will have to get to, but that will require some of that. But for now, I just need to get this done. And so I did 8 repeats. Because 8 repeats, I think, will give me a much more manageable one. And then I feel like I can do the edging in the contrast color, and it will still, I still won't need any extra of the contrast color. So that's what I'm working on, and that's my favorite blanket. I don't know how many of you have favorite blanket patterns for little people, but that's been my go-to, and so it's worked really well. I just really think it's all in the color, right? It's just, I think it's just lovely. Anyways, there are definitely more of these in my future because babies keep happening. And so, not to me, but babies keep happening. And so these, I feel like, are a really, really lovely thing to give away. As it is, it's still, I think, I have some of the yarn in my stash. So I'm going through stash using this, but I know that, oh my gosh, being in Canada, you know, I think these come from Montana or Missouri or somewhere. But this big Yowza, I think it ends up being like $60 or $72 US. I haven't bought any more since the prices have gone up. I bought a whole bunch initially, and so that's what I've been using for the blankets. And I haven't had it to add to my stash. When I was buying them, they were $52 or $54 for a double ball of Yowza yarn, which was expensive, but for $150 US, so that's not Canadian, US, that was a really nice, I think, generous, especially when you start considering how much time it takes, right? us knitters know it takes a very long time. So only special people get things because time is precious. Anyway, so it was about $150 US plus, I don't know, 2-3 weeks worth of work to get this knit up for, sorry, my phone's going, to get this knit up for a special person in your life. But I think it's definitely, I've gotten some feedback and people absolutely love it. I made one with a really pretty variegated red, yellow, pink color on a sort of a muted background. And as much as she supposedly really does not like gender specific colors, she loves the blanket. So I think this is a hit. I think if you want to go onto the Yarnspirations website, download this pattern. It's a fabulously easy blanket pattern to follow. I promise you, once you've done this chart a couple of times, it's definitely not so intimidating. It's just knitting and slipping, slipping and knitting, slipping and knitting. And so you're not purling, you're not having to hold 2 colors at a time. It's fabulous. So this is my favorite heart blanket, y'all, Yarnspirations. So that's what I'm working on. I'm working on that. And when I finished this beauty back here that we'll show off later, that's the Braidy loop sweater with a sparkle yarn. As soon as I stuck it in the wash, I put it in the sink to wash it. Guess what came? Hang on. Oh, I haven't done a ton of summer knitting. You'll see this summer, if I'm wearing knitwear, it's going to be either this or one other t-shirt that I've made. And so, I don't know, I don't know why. It's just not something I've ever really done, but I should. Because why? Because you don't have to do sleeves, right? So it takes like, what, a third less time to make. So anyways, when I finished my Braidy loop sweater, these came in the mail. These are Gapard Garn cotton waves. So it's cotton linen blend, and it's this thick, thin yarn that is really, really difficult to knit with. I find it really sticky. It's been a bit of a challenge, excuse me. It's been a bit of a challenge. I wasn't going to show this, but it's been sitting here because I've been working on it. And there's a sweater that they had a pattern for other loops using this yarn. So it's a mock turtleneck with a lot of sort of part sleeves, and it's a quite square boxy cut. And so I fell in love with it. I partly fell in love with it because we were in Vegas a year or 2 ago, and maybe it was last winter, and my husband was looking at sweaters, and he has one that's made out of a similar kind of cotton linen blend. I think his might be 100% cotton though. Anyway, beautiful sweater, very expensive. And he bought it, and I just thought, oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous? And I figured it had to be hand knit, and that's why it was so expensive. He's got one in this color. And so when I saw this yarn, I was like, well, I can have one too at a fraction of the cost. So, you know, where I spend lots of money on giving it away, I can make myself an inexpensive version of his beautiful white sweater. And I love the white one stripe. So this is, what is it called? Sea Loop Sweater, or Sea Loop Tee by Other Loops. And the sample was made in this specific color, and so that's what I ordered. I have to say, I wasn't able to find this anywhere in Canada. They were out of stock everywhere. So thank goodness for the internet. I ended up ordering it from Denmark. It took a little while to get here, but it's here, and I'm partway done. You knit the top, you go in the round for the top, and then you split, you knit the front, and then you knit the back where the sleeves are. So I'm working on the front. Then you cut the yarn and work the back, continue in the round. And yeah, anyways, I'm loving it. I'm loving it and I'm excited. So that's what's on my needles with the little sweater, blanket that I need to finish making. And yeah, what are you knitting? And do you knit a lot of summer stuff? I was thinking we have a trip planned to Europe in the fall. I was thinking, well, this will be nice. No, mock neck in the summer. We're in the center of Canada, y'all, and it is hot here in the summer. We seem to have 2 seasons, summer and winter. We don't have a lot of in between, usually. Some years we do, but not always. Oh, I have a little rat coming to say hi. Hey, meow, meow. No, no. Anyway, so we don't have a lot of in between, so I tend to either want something quite light, like this one, or quite heavy, like that one. But not a lot of this. But I feel like I need a lot of this, and I feel like it will be a quicker knit. So that's what I'm powering on, and yeah, those have been my knitting works in progress, works completed. Should we show you this one? I think we should. I'm back with my Braidy loop sweater. It is hot in here, so I'm not going to last long. I'm going to have to finish this up fairly quickly. But oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It is beautiful. Let me give you a peek. So the only issue I have, a very minor issue, pretty minor issue, is that this is a tad short. I sort of expected it to stretch a bit, and it didn't really that much, but the arms did, so they're a little long. And I didn't even do very much ribbing on that. So there's not a lot of ribbing. But this, I have to say, is a beautiful pattern, beautifully written. I love the cables. I can't wait to wear it. It is made with West Yorkshire spinners wool in their Grenfell color and held together with what? With some kind of sparkle. And so it gave this green, just a sec, back. West Yorkshire spinners, fleece, blue-faced Leicester, 100% British wool. It's beautiful. This color is stunning. Honey, honey, honey. I saw a lovely woman named Honey knitting this in just this yarn, and it was gorgeous. I'm not usually a green person, and you can tell me, and I won't be offended, if this looks good on me. I'm not sure, because it's not a color I've ever really worn, but I love this, and I wanted sparkle, because I didn't want to copy hers exactly. I wanted sparkle. So I put these two together and came up with this. So the sparkle is Lang Paillettes, and it is in the color 39.0003. So it's a beautiful, I don't know, tree trunk color. I'm not sure, with gold sparkles. Just gives it this lovely marling effect. Anyway, I love this. I love this sweater. I know the sleeves are a tad long. I'm not terribly upset about that. And the sweater, like I said, is a touch shorter than I would have liked. I would have liked maybe half an inch, but you know what? I will absolutely wear it. It's next to skin softness, which I knew, I kind of thought it would be when I, oh, those cables, right? I think I'm a cable girl. I love the cables. I think they're gorgeous. The cable running all along the back and down the arm makes you wonder how it's put together. And it's brilliantly put together. The pattern is brilliant. The pattern is very easy to follow. And The only thing I will say is it kind of got me hung up a little bit because it would give you a little summary in 2 or 3 sentences, and then it would give you the information. And so I would get caught up in the summary going, and I don't understand how to do that. And as soon as you would read through, you'd go, oh yeah, yeah. So very few words in the pattern, but yeah, and it's gorgeous. I did a double knit collar. All the ribbing I didn't do with the sparkle because I thought, oh, I don't know that anyone's going to notice. And the rest is sparkly. So add another one to my sparkle collection. And I have a lot. Seem to have more and more. And I want to make more and more because I love it. So yeah. So sparkle for kids in a stellina yarn and sparkle for the adults in a full-on sparkle. Anyway, I already have lots of ways that I'm going to wear this, and I'm excited to wear it, and I'm excited to have it finished. So there we go. That's what I've been working on. That's what I've been finishing. And yeah, it's been a few weeks. I feel like a fair bit of stuff done because I think I was in the beginning stages of that when I was on my last video. And now it's a finished product, even though my husband says, oh, just in time for summer. I know, I don't disagree, but still super excited to have that done. The other thing I will say is that was probably one of the first times I ever actually swatched. I know, I'm guilty. And I realized I am a super, super tight knitter. So that sweater, I think, called for a 5mm needle to get gauge. I can't remember what that was. But I went down like 2 needles to get to that. And it worked out in the end beautifully because it actually fit. Who knew swatching was such a good idea, right? You don't have to swatch for blankets, but you have to swatch for other stuff. So I'm a converted swatcher, y'all. I swatched for this one, and because that one turned out so perfect, I couldn't even help myself. It was so fabulous. The size, it's just baggy enough. Fit exactly how I had expected it to, which is refreshing because usually I feel like I'm sort of winging it a little. And I guess that's not the worst thing, but a lot of my sweaters, as you'll see as I wear them in the future to podcast, a lot of my sweaters are fairly baggy, and I think maybe I don't always want them so baggy. Anyway, that's what I've been knitting. That's on my needles, off my needles. And I'm glad to be here to have been able to share that with you. If you enjoyed this podcast and you're still here, I would love it if you'd subscribe or press the like button or something. I don't know, some kind of YouTube thing. If not, that's fine too. Yeah, I'm just here to document and share my stitching to sanity. The world feels a little less crazy these days. I think when I started this YouTube, it was all hellfire and brimstone, and I don't know, maybe the stitching is making me feel better by a lot, but and making these videos certainly keeps me from going down the YouTube rabbit holes of all the political craziness. And it's still crazy. It's still crazy. Oh my God, it's still crazy. So I am stitching my way to sanity, and I invite you to stitch your way there too, because, slow fashion, mindless counting, mindless knitting, maybe not all mindless, but knitting just makes me feel so much better. Anyways, until next time, when I have a few things to show you, one less now because I actually put that one on for you. But yeah, hopefully I'll have this done. I'll have the baby blanket done, and I'll be working on something else. Probably not the other things that I mentioned before because I changed my mind. I changed my mind a fair bit. I have something on deck and just don't feel like it, or something else kind of catches my eye and off I go. So if you want to see what I'm knitting, hit subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. All the patterns that I mentioned and all the stuff that I mentioned will be listed below. Yeah, thanks. Bye for now.